First story. I slapped my boyfriend's son to shut him up and win the argument. It ruined my relationship, and now I regret it so damn much. Throwaway because I don't want this tied to my main account. I've been lurking for years, but I never thought I'd be posting something like this. My boyfriend 35M has a 13-year-old son from a previous relationship. He's a good kid overall, not perfect obviously. He's going through puberty, so there are some attitude problems here and there, but nothing wild. He's not disrespectful in a bad kid way, more like sarcastic and grumpy sometimes, testing boundaries. When he crosses the line, my boyfriend corrects him quickly, so he's not spoiled or bratty. I 28F have been dating my boyfriend for about a year. We don't live together, but I stay over often, maybe 3-4 nights a week. The kid and I have always gotten along decently. I've never tried to be a stepmom or take on any kind of parental role. I keep it chill, more like a respectful adult in his life. We joke sometimes, I help with homework occasionally if he asks, and I'll make dinner or clean up if I'm around. Nothing overbearing. No issues between us before this. This past week, my boyfriend had to go into work for the day. He normally works from home, but had some on-site stuff to handle. I was working remotely from his house that day, so it was just me and his son at home. He was in a mood all morning, slamming cabinets, being short with me, rolling his eyes when I'd ask him stuff. Typical teen stuff, I guess. I didn't want to bother my boyfriend at work, but I did text him and let him know his son was being kind of rude. He replied a while later and said he'd talk to him on his lunch break. But that was still a couple of hours away. At that point, I figured I could handle it. We've never really had a serious conflict before, and I thought maybe he just needed space or was having a rough day. I tried to ignore it and focus on work. I kept it calm for a while. Then, the dog needed to go out, and I asked him to take her since I was on a call. He groaned and mumbled something, so I repeated myself. He responded with something like, "Why can't you do it? You're the one just sitting there." I was mid-meeting, laptop in front of me, headset on, so I told him firmly that I needed him to help out and just take the dog out, please. He pushed back harder, started raising his voice. He said he's not my servant, he's not doing it, that I'm not his mom, etc. I told him I wasn't trying to parent him, just asking him to be helpful while his dad was gone. He said something under his breath. I honestly didn't catch all of it, but it was something disrespectful. I snapped. Not yelling, just a hard, loud, "Excuse me," and I got up. He repeated something sarcastic, and we were face to face at that point. I was definitely frustrated, and I felt like I was being tested. I don't know what came over me, but I slapped him. Not a tap. Not a warning smack. A full slap across the face. My hand stung immediately. He just stood there, frozen. Didn't show any emotions. Just went totally silent and looked at me like I was a stranger. I realized what I'd done instantly. I said his name and apologized, but he turned away and walked off. Went to his room and shut the door. Wouldn't come out for the rest of the day, except once to grab a snack. Didn't say a word to me. I texted my boyfriend and just told him his son had been really difficult and mouthy, but that he'd calm down after they talked. My boyfriend came home later, grounded his son for the way he talked to me, and that was that. That was 3 days ago. Since then, my boyfriend still doesn't know what really happened. His son hasn't said a word about the slap, but his entire demeanor towards me has changed. He avoids me completely. If we're all in the living room, he'll sit with us but stay quiet. If my boyfriend leaves the room, his son leaves too, like immediately. If I go into a room where he already is, he finds a reason to leave. He hasn't looked me in the eye since. I tried to apologize again the next morning. I waited until my boyfriend was outside and gently knocked on his son's door. Told him I was really sorry, that what I did was wrong, and that I never should have let things get to that point. He didn't say anything, just said okay, and that was it. He still won't talk to me. Won't even respond if I say good morning. My boyfriend has no clue. He still thinks his son is being quiet because he's upset about being grounded. I keep expecting him to ask more questions, but he hasn't. Maybe he trusts me too much. Maybe he's distracted with work. I don't know. I'm trying to act normal, but I feel like I'm walking around with a bomb strapped to me. I know I messed up. I know I crossed a huge line. And I know if his son tells him, or if I tell him, it could ruin everything. I've been rehearsing ways to tell my boyfriend. I've gone over it in my head every night since. But every time I think about actually saying the words, I panic. He's not just some guy I'm dating casually. This man has treated me better than anyone else ever has. He's thoughtful and affectionate, and he listens. He buys me stuff, checks in on my day, and remembers the little things I mention in passing. I've been in abusive relationships before. He's the opposite of that. I feel safe with him. And I know if I tell him I hit his kid, he'll be done. Or at least he should be. I wouldn't blame him if he kicked me out on the spot. What parent would stay with someone who slapped their child? Even if it was a one-time thing. Even if I was remorseful, it wouldn't matter. That's a line you don't cross. The worst part is, I don't think his son is going to stay quiet forever. He's probably trying to process it. Maybe he hasn't figured out how to bring it up. Maybe he's scared too. But it's coming. Sooner or later, this is going to come out, and when it does, it's going to be worse that I didn't say anything from the start. He'll feel betrayed by both of us. I've been trying to fix it without involving my boyfriend. I've made his son breakfast every morning since. I offered to help with his homework. He ignored me. I bought him that video game he mentioned a couple weeks ago and left it outside his room with a note, no response. I know how stupid that sounds. I'm not trying to bribe him. I just don't know how else to show I regret what I did. But it's clear none of that matters to him. And it shouldn't. This guilt is eating me alive. It was a split second. One moment where I just lost control. And now the damage is done. I haven't told anyone in my real life. I'm too ashamed. I know how it sounds. I can already hear what people would say, that I'm a monster, that I don't deserve to be around kids, that I should leave before I'm kicked out. I don't even know if they'd be wrong. But I love this man. I love our life together. And I know if I come clean, I might lose all of it. At the same time, I feel like I have to come clean. Not for me, but for his son. He's walking around avoiding me like I'm some threat. That can't go on. That's not okay. He deserves to feel safe in his own home. And right now, I've taken that from him. I don't want to pretend like everything's fine while I know the truth is festering under the surface. So here I am, posting on Reddit, looking for advice from strangers because I don't trust myself to make the right call. What do I do? How do I tell my boyfriend without destroying everything? Can this even be salvaged? And if it can't, how do I take responsibility without making this worse for his son? Please, any advice would help. Comments. Comment 1. You didn't just lose it. You chose to slap a 13-year-old during an argument over the dog. That's not a parenting moment. That's not discipline. That's assault. And it's worse because he's not your kid, and you're not in any formal parental role. You're just an adult who hit a child who can't defend himself without risking consequences. If this were reversed and your boyfriend slapped you in the face after an argument, you'd have every right to call it abuse. It wouldn't matter how mad he was, or if he apologized afterwards. What matters is he did it. You say you love this man and don't want to lose him, but you already betrayed his trust in the worst way. If you really respected him, you'd tell him the truth and accept the fallout, because keeping this a secret is just adding deceit on top of violence. You don't get to slap a kid and keep playing house like nothing happened. Comment 2. His son is afraid of you. That's not something you undo with video games and breakfast. That slap broke something. You keep saying it was one mistake, but the cover-up has lasted days. The apology doesn't mean much when the lie keeps growing. If the kid doesn't tell him, someone else eventually will. And when that happens, your boyfriend will find out not just that you hit his son, but that you tried to bury it. That's what will end this relationship, not just the slap, but the silence afterwards. You want advice? Tell the truth. Say exactly what you did. No softening. No, he was being mouthy. Just own it, straight. It's your only shot at keeping any trust with either of them. Comment 3. Look, I've raised teenagers. I know they can be brutal with their words. But what you did wasn't discipline, it was retaliation. That slap wasn't about teaching him anything. It was you reacting to disrespect with force, and now you're trying to manage the fallout without facing the music. He doesn't trust you now. He might never. And his dad. If he finds out from someone else, which is likely, he's gone. And he should be. If you actually care about this relationship, stop trying to fix it with guilt, gifts, and avoidance. Be honest. Let the consequences happen. If there's any chance of moving forward, it starts with telling the truth. Update. First off, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. A lot of what you said forced me to sit down and really think about the situation instead of running from it. It took me a few more days, but I told him. I didn't plan it. I didn't write a speech or wait for the perfect moment. I just told him one night after dinner. His son was already in his room, and I couldn't take the silence anymore. I was tired of pretending like I wasn't holding something massive just beneath the surface. I didn't sugarcoat it. I told him we got into an argument, and I slapped his son. That I immediately felt sick about it. That I tried to apologize, but his son wouldn't let me. I told him I was scared to lose him, and that I understood if he never wanted to see me again. And somehow, he didn't get angry. He looked surprised, yeah, and quiet for a minute. But when he finally spoke, he didn't yell. He just said, "Thank you for telling me." Then he said something that caught me off guard. He said he knows his son can be a lot. That lately he's been pushing people and acting like the world is out to get him. He said, and I quote, "I'm not saying you were right to hit him, but I also don't think it came out of nowhere." I asked if he hated me. He said no. He said he'd rather be with someone who owns their mistakes than someone who pretends they didn't happen. He told me not to beat myself up. That I'm human. That maybe it was exactly the wake-up call his son needed. I didn't agree with that part, but I didn't push it. He said he'd talk to his son. At that point, I felt relief. Like the worst was behind me. Like maybe I survived something I was sure would end everything. I was calm for the first time in days. I even let myself feel a little happy. That didn't last. I stayed in the living room when he went to talk to his son. I didn't want to eavesdrop, but they weren't quiet. It started out low, his voice calm. But then I heard the boy yell something I couldn't make out what at first, and then it all blew up. His son said he didn't care that I apologized. He said he was tired of his dad always taking the side of whatever woman he's screwing this year. Word for word. He said he wasn't surprised I hit him because all you ever do is date people who hate me. My boyfriend tried to tell him that wasn't true, but his son wasn't hearing it. He said he's always been second. That ever since his mom left, all his dad ever cared about was having a new partner to play happy family with. That he never asked if he wanted anyone else in the house. That he was never wanted. I stood outside the door. I wanted to go in, say something, help somehow. But it didn't feel like my place yet. Then I heard my name, or more like a reference to me. His son said, "You're defending the woman who slapped me, just like you always defend them. I bet if she punched me in the face, you'd still take her side." That's when I walked in. I couldn't just stand there anymore. I told him I wasn't trying to replace anyone. That I never wanted him to feel like I was competing with him. That I know what I did was wrong. I said I was sorry again. But they both snapped. My boyfriend told me gently but firmly, "Not now." His son yelled, "Get out." So I did. I went back to the living room and sat there in silence while they continued. The yelling didn't stop. Accusations back and forth, years of resentment coming out all at once. His son said he wanted to go live with his grandparents. My boyfriend said maybe that was a good idea. His son said, "Great. You can finally be alone with your girlfriend and pretend you have the perfect life." I don't know what hit harder, the fact that the kid thinks I'm part of some long pattern, or the fact that my boyfriend didn't fight harder to keep him here. Eventually, the door slammed. My boyfriend came out and didn't say anything for a while. Just stood there, rubbing his face, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Then he said he was taking his son to his parents' house for the week. Maybe longer. Maybe the rest of the school year if that's what he wants. The car ride was quiet, from what he told me later. Now the house is too quiet. We're still talking, my boyfriend and I. But there's a tension in the air that wasn't there before. He says he doesn't blame me. That this blow-up was probably coming regardless. But I still feel like the spark that lit the fire. I wanted to tell the truth, and I did. But now I don't know what's worse, lying and living in guilt, or telling the truth and watching everything around it fracture anyway. The house doesn't feel like a home right now. It feels like we're both waiting for something. I don't know if it's healing or collapse. Maybe both. I'll update again if things change. Right now, I'm just sitting in the middle of the mess, hoping it's not permanent. Update. It's been just over a week since I told my boyfriend the truth. He was calm at first, supportive even. He didn't yell. He didn't tell me to pack my things. He said thank you for being honest, and said he understood his son could be difficult, and that the slap didn't come out of nowhere. At the time, I thought maybe we were going to survive this. I was wrong. After the argument between him and his son, things in the house went quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet. His son stayed with his grandparents. We didn't hear much from him beyond a few updates from the grandfather. He's staying in his room, skipping dinner, and not speaking to anyone unless necessary. I offered to go see him, maybe apologize again in person. My boyfriend said no. He said he needs space. Then, 2 nights ago, he stayed out late. When he got back, he looked exhausted. He sat down and told me he'd spent the evening at his parents' trying to talk to his son. It didn't go well. His son wouldn't even sit in the same room with him. He said he didn't feel safe around me. He said he didn't trust his dad anymore either, because he chose her. That he only cares when one of his girlfriends is unhappy. That he always makes it about his relationships and not about being a father. My boyfriend said he thought he'd done okay raising him mostly alone, trying to provide some kind of stability. He admitted he didn't think his son hated him this much. That's when he asked me for space. He didn't blame me. But he said he needed to be alone for a while. That he needed time to focus on his son and figure out if this can be repaired. He said, "I don't want to make any decisions right now, but I need you to give me time." So I packed a bag and left. I've been staying with a friend. I don't know what this is, maybe a soft breakup, maybe just time apart. But I can feel it in my stomach. This isn't temporary. Even if he doesn't say the words, "We're not okay." Not anymore. He texted me once the next day. He said he appreciated me giving him space. He said he hopes I'm alright. That was it. The worst part? I get it. I would probably do the same thing. If I had a kid who came to me and said they felt unsafe in their own house because of someone I let in, I'd take a step back too. Maybe a permanent one. And now there's this new wrinkle. Apparently, his son left his grandparents' house without telling anyone. It was only for a few hours. He walked to a friend's place nearby, but it triggered panic. The grandparents called my boyfriend. He drove around looking for him until the friend's mom called to say he was safe. When he got him home, they fought again. His son said he doesn't care about rules anymore. That nobody listens to him, so why should he listen to anyone else? He accused his dad of only pretending to care now that he's embarrassed about what happened. They didn't speak the next day. He told me all of this over text. Not by phone, not in person. Just updates, like a storm report. This isn't just about me slapping his son anymore. That moment cracked something open, but the damage underneath was already there. Years of unspoken resentment between them. A kid who feels like he's been sidelined by every relationship his dad's had. A father who thought he was doing his best and is now realizing it wasn't enough. And me? I'm just the one who lit the match. I want to fix it. But I can't. I'm not the one they need right now. Maybe I never was. I still haven't heard from his son. I don't expect to. I don't blame him for shutting me out. I would too. I've written maybe 10 versions of another apology, but none of them feel right. Because no matter what I say, I still did it. And now I've made a mess that can't be cleaned with words. I think I lost the best relationship I've ever had. Not just because I did something awful, but because I underestimated how deep the damage could go. Because I thought the truth and an apology would be enough. I don't know if I'll update again. I think this might be it. Not officially, not spoken, but I think I'm watching the slow ending of something I thought could last. And honestly, I deserve it. Second story. My wife was completely on board with me visiting my sister's baby shower. But now she's changed her mind, locked me out, thrown my stuff out of the house, and said what I did was worse than cheating. My wife and I are both 30. Tried to have our first baby for 4 failed cycles and decided to take a break for a few cycles because we were taking it pretty hard. It's been 3 months since we tried. Meanwhile, my little sister is pregnant with her first baby, which I'm very excited for. My wife was 2 at first. Slide 1. The first slide is me asking why she RSVP'd no to the baby shower 2 hours away without talking to me first. After talking that night, she said I could go to shower and seemed supportive. Said she was just in her feelings. Slide 2. The second slide is the week of the shower. We had therapy the next day, after which my wife was once again supportive of me going. Other than saying she'd miss me, I went up a day early to spend more time with family. Nothing seemed off. Slide 3. The third slide was a bomb drop I got at the shower. Slide 4. On the fourth slide, I still don't know what all happened, but she changed the locks to our house. We had a big argument when she came back to let me in, and she insisted this was worse than me cheating on her. It's been almost a week since then. We've been to therapy again. She saw her doctor. Neither of them seemed too concerned, because she's acting normal now and even wants to TTC again. I told her I scheduled a first session with my own therapist because I'm hurt. And I don't want to talk to her, much less try for a baby, until I work through this myself. She said I'm overreacting because she made it right, immediately came home and let me in the house, and hasn't brought up how she feels about the shower since that night except for in therapy. AO. Text 1. OP, are we busy on the 24th? Something I forgot? I don't think so. Why? OP, baby shower, they said you RSVP'd, and we couldn't make it. Oh yeah, I don't want to go. Not feeling up to baby things. OP, I understand. It stings. I'd like to go. Support my sister for her first baby. I can go on our behalf. It'd hurt my feelings if you went without me, though. She has everything and everyone she needs. I need you. OP, let's talk when I get home. Text 2. I've been thinking about it, and I don't think it's fair for you to go. I'm still grieving. Even if you're not. Going to this is like twisting the knife. You're twisting the knife. OP, I'm sorry, Dovely. I'm still torn up too. I can't wait to raise kids with you. But we've both always wanted to be an aunt and uncle. And now we get to be. I want to share a little joy while things are tough. You're literally choosing another pregnant woman over me. You can't understand how hurtful that is. My sister. Let's table this until I get home, or maybe after therapy tomorrow. Love you. Would it help to start trying again? I feel like not trying isn't. We both were happier when we were. No. Text 3. What kind of man can't stay by his woman's side when her world is crashing down? It's making me sick. You're off celebrating when I'm the lowest I've ever been. This is like emotional cheating almost. You're going to have to make up for this betrayal for a while, because I am hurting thanks to you. OP Dovely, I love you. I know you want our family to grow. I do too. And I understand the heartbreak. It's kind of hurting my heart to be here too. But I'm also having some gladness, which we haven't gotten to have for a bit. This is partly for me, but also for my sister and our future nephew. Remember, we want to be his favorite aunt and uncle. We need to talk about this more in therapy. Can't keep brushing it off. Grief is supposed to change over time. And I don't think it's changing for you after months. Probably won't change until you give me a baby. OP, okay. Call you on the way home. Get yourself some curry. DD credit. Text 4. OP ring ring. Headed back. Are you at your mom's? Yes, we're at dinner. OP, pick up. Now. I need to know why I'm locked out. Head home, or I'm kicking in the back door. I already told you you betrayed me. You don't get to just come home willy-nilly like nothing happened. Your bag is already packed. Go stay at a hotel for the night or something. OP, what the F? I love you, but what the F? Come home now, and you're going to the damn doctor tomorrow. Comments. Comment 1. So you guys TTC'd for 4 months, took a break for 3, and then she locked you out of the house for not skipping a super special life moment with your own sister. After you guys had talked about it a bunch. Unless there's more to this story, you are nor. And I would want to understand from her therapist and doctor why they aren't concerned with such erratic behavior. That isn't to say there can't be some explanation, or that you shouldn't give her time to work through her feelings. But if she's coming out of this with the sense she didn't do anything wrong here, that feels like the wrong takeaway. Support, validation, and respect are two-way streets. And in those text exchanges, I really only see one of you trying to understand and support the other one. OP, appreciate this, because no one else seeing anything wrong here makes me feel insane. Her mom called her on it a little bit. But the doctor and therapist said they'd be concerned if she locked me out and kept me locked out. Since she came right home and let me in, it was a momentary lapse of judgment. Comment 2. Info. So you were just trying to conceive naturally and stopped after only 4 months. I don't get it why. It takes most people much longer than 4 months to conceive a child. It's completely normal for couples your age to take as long as a year to conceive, if they are having sex every 2 or 3 days at least. If she is that desperate to conceive, why did she stop doing the one thing that will make her conceive? Comment 3. I was thinking the same thing. Yes, it can be disappointing when you aren't successful conceiving right away. But it is normal that it could take up to a year. Her reaction to you wanting to go to your sister's shower is way over the top, and not remotely the behavior of someone in their right mind. It would be different if you had struggled through years of fertility issues, or she had just had a miscarriage. Then I could understand her being upset and having a hard time celebrating your sister. That said, changing the locks is next level vindictive and crazy based on the info you have given. Comment 4. I agree with this comment. 4 months is not a lot of time for trying to conceive. It took my husband and me about 1.5 years to finally get pregnant with our first child. I had to have a tubal flushing procedure, which is a non-invasive procedure to flush out the fallopian tubes. I got pregnant a little over a month later. Sometimes women who took birth control prior to TTC have issues with the fallopian tubes being clogged. The success rate with this procedure is very high. I can truly understand now if you are questioning having kids with her. She seems extremely irrational and a little unhinged over something as simple as supporting your family. Comment 5. I read the messages before reading the caption and assumed that she must have just been through something incredibly traumatic, like a late-stage miscarriage. To find that the trigger was not conceiving naturally quickly enough blew my mind. Someone's overreacting here, and it's not him. Comment 6. Lovely. OP. She loves doves. And she's lovely. So I call her Dovely when she's down, or we're having a hard time. Comment 7. Yeah, she sounds so lovely. Judgment, nor. Update 2 days later. First, I'll answer a few facts from the first post. 1. She does have a diagnosis of panic disorder, hence why she's in therapy and has a psychiatrist. But she hasn't had a panic attack in quite some time. 2. No, we did not show her therapist the text yet. I joined her therapy appointment for the first 15-20 minutes, and they're only 45-minute sessions, so not much time to cover everything. Her therapist, per my wife, said she was in the wrong, but she didn't think there was anything emergent because she came home and fixed the problem right away. Okay, the update. Knowing my wife, she doesn't always hear how she comes off. So I started by sitting her down and reading our text conversations out loud to her, then letting her sit with it for a bit. After about 5 minutes of silence, she started crying and said she was a monster and didn't recognize herself. I asked her why that might be, and she offered some concerns that I think are genuine. 1. She works in an office, and she said 4 of her coworkers are pregnant. 2 have started maternity leave, and for the last couple of weeks, she's been covering a lot for both of them, so she's been very stressed. I knew she'd been working longer hours, but didn't know how much it was stressing her out. 2. Her parents are extremely pushy about her having kids. They've made comments to us before, which I kind of wrote off as normal excited first-time grandparents to be. But she showed me texts from both of them in their family group chat in the last few months, and they've been sending her quite a few articles about fertility, parenting, etc. One text even said, "Are you actually trying, or are you just teasing us?" which clearly hurt her. She shared this with her therapist several sessions ago, but never mentioned it to me. 3. She said she's afraid she's projecting her parents' frustration with her onto me, and subconsciously felt like I'll leave her if we don't have kids soon. So she might have been lashing out to push me away before I could push her away. And she acknowledged that's wrong of her. We've agreed to take a few more months off of trying. 1. So her work stress can eventually decrease. And 2. So we, as a team, can set some boundaries with her parents. My wife has agreed she's not going to give them trying updates, and we will just tell them whenever we're ready to announce a pregnancy someday. I asked her if she realized she went psycho, and she said yes, saying she broke and doesn't even remember making some of the decisions she made. But she's very remorseful, and I believe her. I'm booking with my own therapist, and she is going to continue with hers. Eventually, we may add a couples therapist, but time and money aren't unlimited. She did resume working on the baby blanket she started for our incoming nephew, which she hasn't touched in months. I've kind of left her alone and notice she cries every so often. I'll give her a hug when I notice. She cooked dinner for the first time in a while. We've been so busy. We've been surviving on frozen meals and DoorDash. This update will probably disappoint those who wanted us to divorce immediately. But it is what it is. The dust is still settling, but I feel like some mending is occurring. Comments. Comment 1. I'm glad to hear this update. When I read the first post, it seemed like a situation that could be handled if your wife was willing to accept the fact that she was clearly in the wrong, and you come across as someone who would know when that point has passed. I mentioned in a comment that the stress she's putting on herself probably pushed her reaction, and it makes sense that it was coming from an external source too. NGL, it seems like a very silly and short-sighted idea to get pregnant when so many coworkers are, and she's covering part of their work. I can't believe she actually wanted to be pregnant while doing extra work already. It leads me to believe even more that the research going into this process was a little lacking in general, and again, makes sense if it was driven by external pressure from parents. Comment 2. Yeah, the timing really doesn't add up. Taking on extra work because coworkers are pregnant, then deciding to get pregnant yourself. That's just asking for trouble. Sounds like the parents were definitely pushing for this, and she wasn't thinking it through properly. Good thing you recognized when enough was enough. Comment 3. 2. Her parents need to F off. What horrid SH that's. OP. Yeah, I always say my wife is tiny but mighty. Except when it comes to them. I have a feeling that when we sit down with them, I will be the one laying down the law, which I'm prepared to do, because that pissed me the hell off. She might be a monster right now, but that's my monster, damn it. It's not a little joke. They're implying that she's lying to them, which probably made her feel even more like she owed them information. And they're applying pressure that she's not doing something right to get pregnant. Comment 4. Does she understand that 4 months of trying isn't very long at all? And does taking a break from trying mean no sex? You guys need to have a healthy as ex life for general happiness, but also to make babies. Babies just happen all the time from regular intimacy, and not just from trying. She might be a monster right now, but that's my monster, damn it. This is so endearing, lol. I wish you both the best. OP, we haven't had time for spontaneous sex lately, but it's not something we're avoiding. Just need to break from all of the tracking and baby dancing, lol. Comment 5. Honestly, she should not even consider having kids yet. Her mental health is the most important. OP, she seemed genuinely surprised when I said I'll still love her, even if for some reason we never have kids. I think we've both been so passionate about being parents someday that we never explored what not having biological kids would look like. Comment 6. Okay, I know this seems like progress, but what she did wasn't something small or simple. She changed the effing locks on your own home. You can't even be sure you'll have forever access to your home anymore because your wife went as far as to change the locks on you. If my partner locked me out of my own home over me doing something we not only agreed on, but was completely normal and reasonable, I would not be moving back in until I could trust them again. And this does not read like she's even realized she's broken your trust. You're completely sweeping this major break of trust by excusing her behavior away. And what if she does this to any kids you might end up having? If your wife can do this to you, what makes you sure she won't do it to your child? Imagine if your child does something completely innocent that you all agreed on, only to come home and find themselves locked out because their mom got stressed out at work. Your child, standing outside their home, completely confused why their key no longer works, panicked that something might be wrong, unable to go home, unable to trust the safety and security of having a home to go to anymore. Don't do this to any kids you might have. They will not forget the confusion, anxiety, and panic of being locked out of their own home by their mother. OP fair, but just remember, you know her from one Reddit post. I've known her very, very well for 10 years and been married for 2. I've never seen her act like this. Never done, never ready. It seems like making a baby quilt would be some kind of torture for her. OP, I think she feels bad for not going and wants to get back to being excited for our nephew. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.